What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I take a detailed look at all of the stats of every one of the weapons as well as their variants in Infinite Warfare. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the HVR. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so hopping right into the stats here, the HVR has a damage profile of 34, 25, 23, 19. This means it's going to take 3 to 6 shots to get a kill, and it's interesting to point out this is the only SMG in the game that can get a 3-shot kill in core game modes, unless you're talking about the RPR Evo in the assault rifle mode, but I consider that to be an assault rifle. Its rate of fire is the second slowest in the SMG category at 740 rounds per minute. The only one slower than this is the MACTAV. Our time to kill ranges from 162 milliseconds within the 3-shot kill range, which is very fast, all the way down to 405 milliseconds within the 6-shot kill range, which is quite slow, but around average for SMGs when you get to the longer ranges. Our aim down sight time is standard for SMGs at 230 milliseconds, same thing goes with sprint out time at 150 milliseconds. Our reload add time is 1.44 seconds, which is quite fast. Movement speed is 98%, which is standard for SMGs, and our magazine capacity is quite low at 26 rounds with a total starting ammo of 78 rounds. Getting into our ranges for the HVR, as you can see there, we've got a 5-meter 3-shot kill potential, which is not the greatest, but at least it has a 3-shot kill potential, which is really nice. Its 4 as well as 5-shot kill ranges are the best in the SMG category, aside from the MACTAV. The MACTAV is that one exception. The HVR is better than all of the other SMGs, though, when it comes to 4 and 5-shot kill ranges. As always, when you pop a suppressor on there, you reduce your range by 25%, and when you pop rifled barrel on, you increase your ranges by 20%. As for hipfire, the HVR is standard for the SMG category. It's the same as all of the other SMGs aside from the FHR or the RPR when you put it in assault rifle mode. Moving on to headshots, the HVR has a standard headshot multiplier of 1.1, which takes our headshot damage profile to a 37, 27, 25, 20. Just like with the other SMGs in the game, this essentially means that headshots are useless in core game modes. And the reason behind this is unless you're hitting every single one of your bullets to the head within the 5 and 6-shot kill ranges, it's never going to take one less bullet to kill by getting headshots with the HVR. So essentially, headshots are useless with this gun. That is, unless we're looking at tactical team deathmatch. If you're within that 5 meters or its normal 3-shot kill range in core game modes, if you're within that range, it is a 1-shot headshot in tactical team deathmatch. Getting into the final aspect that we're going to be looking at with the base HVR, this is recoil. And this is the area where, at least for me, this is what makes me not like this gun too much. As you can see here with the recoil, it is a little bit random. Sometimes it looks just fine, it's really not that much recoil, and then it suddenly jumps to the side or it jumps up. It does really weird things. It doesn't have super high recoil like an FHR, it's just got very unpredictable recoil. This is fine when you're at those close to somewhat medium ranges, but as soon as you get to that more like medium to longer ranges for SMGs, this can definitely mess you up. For those that are interested, this is what the grip does to the HVR, looking at a 10-round recoil plot, and as you can see, it is quite noticeable. You're still going to get some of that side-to-side kick and maybe a little bit of that randomness, but it all happens within a much smaller area, so I actually really like using a grip on the HVR. So that's going to wrap it up for the base stats of the HVR. Overall, it's got the best damage as well as one of the best range profiles out of the SMGs in the game, but it does have a relatively low rate of fire and a very unpredictable recoil pattern. So now that we have all that covered, let's move on to the variants. Just in case you're wondering, all of these variants are currently located in the mission team area, so you do get the HVR variants by completing mission teams, and that means at this point we only have 4 variants of the HVR. And first up, we have a common variant called the Gunslinger. This one just gives you steady, which reduces your hip spread by 20%. There's really not much to say about this, it's pretty self-explanatory. Moving on to the rare variant, we have the Atlas. And the Atlas gives you sensor as well as stability. And with sensor, when you shoot an enemy that doesn't have Ghost on, they will be highlighted in bright red for not only you, but also your teammates for 3 full seconds in real time. It's a very powerful weapon perk as long as you're playing against people that aren't using Ghost, which is relatively rare these days, but when you do come up against those guys that aren't wearing Ghosts, this is a very powerful weapon perk for you as well as your team. In addition to this, we get that stability weapon perk, which reduces our view kick by 3%, and when you combine it with a grip, reduces it by a total of 10%, and I really like that on the HVR because, like I said earlier, I don't like the HVR recoil pattern. Getting into the legendary variant, we have the Carnage, and the Carnage gives you Hitman as well as Sharpshooter. Now, we've seen Hitman before in this series, I believe it was with the Volk Aftermath, and with Hitman, killing all enemy players on the enemy team will grant a large bonus to your payload meter. Just to recap with Hitman, there must be a minimum of 3 enemy players on the other team. If there aren't 3 enemy players, then this won't work. You have to kill each of the players, so you can't just kill the same player over and over again. And it does not need to be in 1 life. That's another big thing. This doesn't reset on death. But once you kill all of the enemy players, assuming there's only 3 of them, you will get a charge reduction based on the number of enemies that are in the game. So if there's only 3 enemies in the game, you get 85 seconds off your charge time, which is pretty massive already. And then once you get all the way up to the 6 enemies, it'll take 165 seconds off of your charge time, which essentially means you're just going to automatically earn your payload at that point. So Hitman can be a very powerful weapon perk, and we also get Sharpshooter, which increases our damage range by 5%. So finally, moving into the epic variant of the HVR, we've got the Gemini. And with the Gemini, we get Twin Sanity as well as Readiness. And Twin Sanity just makes this gun akimbo, so it makes it so you have 1 gun in each hand, but you obviously can't aim down sight at that point, so it's going to be hip fire only, but you do have 2 guns that you can fire. As for Readiness, this only works when you completely empty your magazine, but when you do that, your reload speed is increased by 40%. I personally really enjoy using the Gemini. It's definitely a change of pace. It's a little bit of a fun kind of a gun. It's not meant to be really serious. It's not meant to be highly competitive, but it is a very fun gun. And as long as you're keeping your gunfights up close, you can drop people very, very quickly with this gun. I also wanted to point out really quick here, in the in-game stat bars, which you should never trust by the way, it says that this variant increases your damage. And that's just not true for each of the individual guns. I did the testing on this, it's still the same damage profile, and it looks like the same range profile as well, but I guess you could argue that that increase to the damage in the in-game stat bars just represents the fact that you now have 2 guns that you can fire at the same time, and therefore you can be putting out a higher damage output. So that's going to wrap it up for the variants, and out of all of these, my favorite variant is the rare variant, which is the Atlas. If I'm using the HVR, the Atlas is my go-to. I have all of these variants unlocked now. Sometimes, like I said, I like to mess around with the Gemini just for fun and for a change of pace, but if I'm actually trying to use the HVR relatively seriously, I'm almost always going for that Atlas variant. As for my preferred attachments on the HVR, as always, I use Quick Draw, same as with pretty much anything else, I'm always using Quick Draw. I really like Foregrip, like I said earlier. Extended mags can be very helpful because it has that really small magazine of 26 rounds. And aside from that, sometimes I like running it suppressed, but other times I don't like taking away that advantage that it has over a lot of the other SMGs with its slightly longer range, so I'm still on the fence with a suppressor. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what is your favorite variant of the HVR, and what are your preferred attachments for this gun? And with that, we're going to wrap up the episode, and we've now covered every one of the SMGs that are currently in the game, as well as the assault rifles. So next, I would like to know in the comment section below as well, what weapon category would you like me to move on to next? Would you like me to do LMGs or shotguns or sniper rifles? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I will probably just follow the general trend that I'm seeing. If it leans one way, I'm probably going to end up going that particular way. If you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, as always, I will leave a link in the description below to the playlist. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.